Hi, I'm Ellen DeLapp, certified professional organizer, owner of professionalorganizer.com. I work with people with ADHD who have trouble with time management, planning, prioritizing, and getting stuff done. I've been working with my clients on their calendar and their to-do list, and I've created this YouTube video to share with you the strategies that I have been finding effective with my clients and for you. Many of my clients struggle with their calendar, finding the right calendar for themselves, and simply using their calendar. This beginning simple weekly calendar will help you start recording information so that you can keep things on paper or digitally. So, a weekly calendar provides you with the space to set up weekly and daily priorities that have to do not only with dates and appointments, but also with starting and finishing tasks and projects. In the beginning, recording on a calendar, whether you find a digital or paper calendar to be the easiest to record on, is the most important part. In the beginning, recording the information means that you have an external view of what your time will look like. So on this weekly sample calendar, I recommend you write the dates and times of information and appointments that are going on this week, as well as some of the preparation and finishing time that you will need. So you might be needing to finish a proposal or finish an expense report, and those are dictated by the priorities that you set up on your task list. I always include a weekly planning time for my clients because it gives them a time to pull together all the information from the week and be sure to check off the boxes of things they have completed and look forward to the things that need to be done. A different approach to the weekly calendar is a time block calendar. This weekly calendar has hourly time blocks set aside so that you can slot in appointments as well as specific tasks that need to be done with specific time frames. The dates and deadlines, again, come from your task list, but this way you have a very structured visual view of your week and know what to do when. It eliminates decision making, which is often a challenge of what to do when, and that way you can know that you have to focus on just the things that you've listed in the time block. Another view of the weekly calendar is in large time blocks. These are more like themes as opposed to specific time blocks. So they set aside times in larger chunks, such as the morning, afternoon, or evening, but they also specifically have topics and tasks that are listed in each block so you know what to do when, that you're committed to the work that you've put into the block. Now, each of the time block strategies works really well when you're committed to adhering to what you have assigned to the time block. Even if you don't feel that you can get started at that time, create a little warm-up strategy so that you can be sure that as you're preparing for these larger time blocks, you use 15 to 30 minutes in setting up for success and then doing the work of the time block itself. We're going to talk a little bit about task lists. I'm really familiar with the many sticky notes, the long lists of the to-do list. But in this strategy, you're going to categorize your to-dos by the different areas that have to do with that task. So examples here are used like volunteering, all of the things that you need to do for the volunteer tasks you have, vacation, getting ready for your travel, whatever those tasks might be, organizing, helpers, and administrative. But any category is equally successful in setting up your to-do list because many times, many of your tasks are spread out over multiple categories and can be batched, so they're a lot more effective to be accomplished that way. So thinking about your different categories first, just make a note of what those categories might be, whether it's business or personal, and that way you're prepared to fill in the blocks that have to do with the tasks and the different categories. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the calendar and the to-do list and how to think high level about them. Many of my clients work with monthly planners where they see a month at a glance. And by doing that, they're able to see activities in relation to other activities, what's coming up next, and how they can use their time best by having this big picture view. Many of my clients use weekly planning tools. That's where you see a week's view. And what's best about the weekly plan is that you can do prioritizing much more effectively by knowing which week, what day of the week you're going to do a certain activity. It also helps you plan specific tasks and appointments and gives you more detail about the work and the tasks that you're doing. Now, of course, the master to-do list has to do with all the different actions, activities, tasks that you're in that are a part of your life. So that's a very important part of this process because you want to be sure that you have all of the task lists listed so that you can plan on the next step, which is prioritizing. When you prioritize, you want to come up with 3 most important tasks that you can do in one day or over a week. These priorities make sure that you feel successful about what you're doing, move the needle forward on the different projects you're involved in, and also know that you're spending your time most effectively. I always include weekly planning time as a priority because it gives us a chance to take a big picture view at the week. Sometimes we're so involved with all the details that we don't know what's coming up next, and we also don't know what do we need to wrap up. Weekly planning time gives you a time to regroup and be sure all of the tasks are checked off, that all the deadlines are being met, and to look ahead for what the deadlines coming up might be. Day themes, such as Money Monday or Financial Friday, these are times that you assign a specific task to a large block of time. So that large block of time gives you the opportunity to single task as well as really focus on the details of a certain project. Time blocks can be as large or as small as you want. They're typically 90 minutes, so that way you have time to work distinctly on one task at a time. So it eliminates that need for jumping back and forth between activities, tasks, and projects. Chunking is when you break a task into manageable segments. So you might chunk a large task, like getting taxes done, into much smaller tasks that make them much more approachable and doable and prevent procrastination. And then task batching is when we group similar tasks together that have to do with the same action. That might be responding to emails. It might be making phone calls. It might be any group of tasks that you want to bundle together. So I'm giving you a few samples of blank calendars so you can look at them again and see which one calls to you. This is the monthly calendar, and it's broad spectrum, big picture. You're thinking about things in relation to each other. This is an unstructured weekly calendar where you can just assign activities to days of the week. This is a small time block calendar that you would be able to assign specific tasks to specific times. And this is a weekly calendar that has large time blocks that take up most of the morning, most of the afternoon, and an evening time block. This goes back to your master to-do list. Now, I've given you a box for the 3 most important tasks for the week. So be thinking about what those are. put those in last after you've written down all of the tasks that are required for the week. And here's some extra slots for you just to think about what are the other categories. You might have more than 4, you might have up to 8 categories that have to do with all the different activities you're doing. So I hope you've gained a little new strategy that has to do with your calendar and your to-do list. I'd love to hear back from you. I also have these printables for sale on Etsy on the ProOrganizer Print shop.